Hello, my name is Blair Maynard, and I am a junior here at William Jessup University, and I'm a recovering alcoholic and a drug addict. So my testimony really starts off on June 30th of 2016. At around 2:39 in the morning, I received a text from my mentor, Joseph Walker. We were best friends, we did everything together, and I received a text that said, "Hey man, sorry I haven't really gotten back to you, just been kind of going through a lot recently. Thank you for being such a good friend. Sorry for all the pain that I've caused you." I woke up that morning to see that text and I sent him something. I was like, "Dude, you're fine. Doesn't matter what's going on. I'm always going to be here for you." And I walk downstairs and I see my mom crying on my dad's chest. That moment I realized something was wrong. Being a 15-year-old boy and seeing your mom cry really hurts. And I asked what was going on, and my mom looked at me and said, "Joe committed suicide. Do you know anything about that?" And I say, "No, I don't know what's going on." I showed them the text that I had received, and then my dad looks at me straight in the face and goes, "You could have saved Joe. You could have saved Joe. Why didn't you text him back?" That one moment in my life caused me to go down a downward spiral. I grew up in the church, but I didn't necessarily have a relationship with Christ. My parents worked in the church, but that didn't mean I had a personal relationship with Jesus. I ultimately, that very night, I went upstairs into my room and I just cried because I didn't know what was going on. I don't know why Joe would have ended his life. I remember the following weeks afterwards, my dad and I would just get into a little bit of an argument here or there, and every single argument would then turn into him blaming me for Joe's death. Little things like, "Can you go get the TV remote for me?" would turn into me being rebellious, saying no. And then he would look at me and say, "You could have saved Joe. Why didn't you save him?" Being the 15-year-old boy I am, to know that the death of somebody is on your shoulders really, really affects you. I remember one night my dad hit me and I said, "That's it, I'm done." I grabbed the car keys that we had and I just left. I didn't have my license. I grabbed my clothes and I left. I left because I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to be home in a part where I was being physically abused, emotionally abused, and verbally abused. This caused me to go drive around and sleep in parks, sleep in my car, anywhere I could just to not be home. I'd only really come home just to grab some clothes, do my laundry, steal money from my house just to leave again because I didn't want to be home. That went on for several months. And then I remember one night I was a junior in high school. I received a party invitation and I had never been. And I was like, screw it, let's go have some fun. That night changed my life. I started drinking, I started hanging out with the wrong people, and I started doing drugs. Within the following months, all of my money went from gas and clothes and food to alcohol, substances that I could put into my body. I started with just doing marijuana, and that eventually upgraded to cocaine. By the time I was 17 years old, I was a borderline drug addict and an alcoholic. I lived in my car and I didn't want to go home. In this time, I remember an instance where my family told me, "Come home, Blair, let's talk." I went home and it was all right. My dad and I weren't fighting or arguing, and I remember that night, my dad asked me to get the TV remote, and I said, "No." And then I remember he hit me and said, "You're no son of mine." And I remember I left, got in my car, and I drove to the police station. I was crying in the police station parking lot. I was about to go walk into the police station and turn myself in for the death of Joseph Walker because I didn't feel safe at home anymore. I would rather go to jail for the death of somebody that I didn't commit because I didn't want to be at home anymore. at least I would have a bed to sleep on, food, and somebody who would listen to me. I didn't know what to do, and I was going to turn myself in. And I just remember that night, I didn't. I don't know why, and I didn't. And then this all comes on to October 8th of 2017. My family invites me home, and they say, let's talk, Blair. So I go home, and it's actually all right. We don't argue, nothing happens. And I remember that night, my dad hit me just because he could. And I said, okay, I'm dealing with it. I'm not gonna go turn myself in. I'm gonna deal with it. I'm gonna be a man. That's what my dad told me, was to just be a man. That night, I look at my brother. It's around 10:30 at night, almost 11. I go, hey Adam, I love you. And to me, as I was walking up the stairs, in my mind, at least he knows that I still care about him. At least he knows that it's not his fault. I get up about halfway up the stairs. My brother wasn't paying attention when I told him I loved him. And I just remember I hear scurrying downstairs, and I'm about halfway up the stairs, and he yells at me and goes, hey Blair, stop. And he looks at me and goes, I love you too. And I just smile and I say, thank you. I walk up the stairs into my room, and I close the door behind me, and hanging there's a noose in my room. I think to myself, there's no reason for me to be here anymore. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep feeling the pain and the brokenness. I remember I locked the door and I stepped on that chair and I put that noose around my neck. I had one leg off the chair and I was about to step off, and I just hear a knock on my door. So, being the 17-year-old boy I am, I say, all right, let's go see what it is. Go open the door and there's nobody there. Both my parents were asleep and my brother was downstairs. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know if that was Buddha, if that was Allah, if that was God, if that was some random noise. I didn't know what that was at that time. I just remember I start breaking down crying on my knees, just saying, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's in control. Help me. I'm in a weird situation and I feel alone. That moment completely changed me. I had a Bible there in my room. It was all dusty. I went over and I picked that up and I started reading that Bible. I don't know why, what got a hold of me and what controlled me to start reading that Bible. I remember that next morning on October 9th, I took all of the condoms I had, all of the cocaine and the marijuana that was in my room, all the alcohol that was in my room, and I walked down to the trash can and I threw that away. That knock on my door changed my life. That simple knock that I still to this day believe that was God knocking on that door telling me, your time's not up, Blair. You have time to continue on in life. And I'm sharing this because I want you guys to know that even though you've messed up in the past, God still loves you. We often tend to look at ourselves by the past mistakes that we've had when we struggle with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations, alcoholism, drug addiction, eating disorders, everything we try to put on a mask and label ourselves like that. But Christ doesn't look at those mistakes. We put on that mask because we want to hide who we truly are. But we need to get rid of that mask and put it at the foot of Jesus and let them know, God, these past mistakes and the way that I am does not define me, but rather my relationship with you and what you're going to do with me and my story defines who we are. What we've done in the past doesn't matter. My past mistakes, my past drug addictions, premarital sex, alcoholism, that doesn't affect me now. Because I know that God loves me for my past mistakes and will use what I've done in the past to expand his kingdom and relate to people.